Okay. Oh, more folks coming on. There we go.
Yeah, we're up to 10 now.
Yep. Betty sneaking quietly in there. She's sitting quietly watching us all.
Yes, Michael.
Oh, here's Mr. Michael. Hey, Betty. And here's Mr. Stano. Welcome. In focus meeting, dismiss. Thank you. I can do that. Let me find the agenda. Good to see you back, Bill.
It's nice to be back. Being able to get out a little more frequently because I think he's doing quite well with the knee.
Oh, she is? That's great news.
Oh, yeah. Last 2 weeks ago, which was 2 weeks after her surgery, we went out to the Outer Banks for a week, and she had to maneuver up 32 steps and down 32 steps.
Woo.
2 weeks after her new knee. Did it just fine.
Wow. Hey, that's great news. You can see how disorganized we were about an agenda without you. All right. So, what's on that little agenda now? Okay, and then announcements. Anybody new? Do I see a new face down there? Hey? Did you?
Sorry, had it on mute. Hello.
Did you introduce yourself before?
This is the first time I've been able to join you guys.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, living here in Polk's Landing and hiking through the trails of Briar Chapel for many years since they got them going. Nature photographer primarily. And do a lot of photos of my good four-legged friend here, Tassi. But been shooting for a long time. Sold a few photos here and there, but certainly nothing of any professional repute or any note. But people do seem to like my perspective a little bit. So
Cool.
you get a late photo sent in this morning. But
I think I got everybody's. You weren't alone. There were a few of you this time. So that's all good. You're next door to me. I'm in Fieldstone. So
yes,
I think you're just half a mile down the road. Cool. And there are a lot of old people who live in Fieldstone here. All those young and energetic people, we live outside of Fieldstone. I think that's right, isn't it?
All the young people are in Farrington.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, aren't we?
Yeah, something like that.
And all the really old and senile people live outside of Pittsburgh. So
That would be you, huh, Mike?
yeah, that would be me.
Cool. All right. Well, I have had to lay off Fearington because I got the sulks at the physical meeting. God, that must be a long time ago when I said that only old people lived in Fearington, and somebody got really upset with me. My son lived in Fearington and he's not. Okay. Cool. Thanks for that. Welcome. And thank you for submitting a photo. In general, what we do is we generally have a, well, you saw the announcement, I assume, from Bill?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, AJ's here with his dolphin. Very good. And I see Tom. Okay, cool. So you two missed the introductions of Ace, so that's tough.
Put it on the recording.
And then what else we got? Oh, just an update so that everybody's sure we are recording from here on out. We're going to record the meetings. Mike Stano has done a ton of work getting us organized on YouTube. We're still working, but we're gonna move forward deliberately and steadily. and we'll this will be the first one live. I think where we ended up, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're just going to go with YouTube. The processes and timelines for getting onto the Chatham website, the Elder Centre website where we physically meet, seemed a little bit convoluted, and so we're going to just stick to YouTube. Have I got that right, Mike?
Yeah, and it's something we may want to talk about in the next steering committee meeting, but the plan right now is to establish our own YouTube channel. The test that we put up was just on my page, so there will be a YouTube, if I'm able to do it, there'll be a YouTube channel just for InFocus, and we'll send everybody a link. And then maybe going through the senior center if it doesn't become or continue to be kind of onerous. But they were helpful to us, and we just don't want to burden them with work when maybe it's something we can do for ourselves.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for doing all of that, Mike. I know you've done the heavy lifting so far. So.
Well, and Mark did a lot of the groundwork as well, so I can't take full credit. I'll take credit for all the errors, but
I'd take full credit. Mark's not here, so I'd
oh, okay.
Cool. Good job. Thank you. What else is on my little list? Oh, well, we stay with Mr. Stano here because we're going to do a tips and tricks. So one of the questions that came up related directly to Zoom and to recording was that you will see that some of us use a background. I'm not really on the space station, folks, just in case you were unsure. So we're going to talk a little bit about, for those of you who may want to think about privacy and not revealing the interiors of your homes or anything like that, we're going to just do a little tips and tricks on how you set this virtual background. And I see AJ there with a nice Coast Guard dolphin, they call it here, I think, but in Europe it's a dauphin. So there are a couple of us already doing that. Where's Betty gone? Betty usually, oh, there's Betty. Betty has a virtual background too, I think. And I see Frank does. So a few of us are doing that. Oh, and Jim, very good. So for those of us, Mike, do you want to talk through, and you want me to put up the steps as we go, is that correct?
Yeah, if you can, although I've discovered even since this morning that individuals can follow it on their own,
right.
Do it on their own as I'm talking about it, and we might see how that goes. But first off, 6 folks, half the folks are already doing this. Do the others have interest in it? Or otherwise, I just won't take time to do it this time.
Yes.
Want me to go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can only talk about how it works on Mac, but I feel confident that there's a pathway through this on a Windows machine, and Graham may be able to help with that if there are Windows users that don't follow what.
It turns out to be identical on Windows. I did go and
boot it
on a Windows machine. And can you all see my desktop?
No. Not yet.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So on the desktop, Mike's going to talk about this little cog icon up here. It's exactly the same on Windows, it turns out. When you start Zoom, you have this little settings thing up here. Or you can, actually, I never did find it on Windows under the menu, but.
The screen is just gray.
Yeah, it's nothing we can see.
What happened?
The screen is gray. There's nothing up there.
Oh, we're seeing the folders down the left-hand side, but nothing in the center.
You're not seeing.
No. Seeing your mouse move around.
Okay.
There you go.
Is there not a window there?
No.
Well, maybe Zoom can't broadcast Zoom.
The
Windows.
Graham, let me just talk. Given that the process is pretty much the same, let's just try me talking through it and see if that works. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right. if you are on Zoom, as you all are right now, on Mac, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can go to the Zoom icon or the link, and it's upper left-hand corner. You drop down, and it's quit Zoom, etc. But in that list, close to the top, is preferences, and you want to click on preferences if you're in Zoom. If you're not already in Zoom, later on, you just need to open the program, and you'll be at that step 2. So step 1 is, if you're on Zoom, hit preferences. If you're not on Zoom, open the app, and you will see a little cogwheel on the upper right-hand corner. If you are starting from scratch, when you load Zoom, you will see the basic page with that cogwheel at the top, and you click on the cogwheel. It gets you the screen that you can see in front of you that is labeled settings. And from that settings screen, you drop down to what is highlighted in blue, which is virtual background. And when you click that, you see what's below Graham's photo. Choose virtual background. And those are, some of those are images that Graham has loaded, but there's a default list that Zoom gives you that you can pick from. There are some videos in there. There are some still photographs in there. And you can just pick one of those, and the minute you click it, your background changes. Mm-hmm. If you see one you like, click it, background changes. Now, if you don't want to use a stock photo as your background, above the sample photos on the right, there is a plus sign. That's it. You click that, and it says add image or add video. If you click add image or click add video, you're going to see a picture of your desktop. And on your desktop is any photo or any video that you can use as a background. And if there's not one there, all you have to do is to move a photo or a video to your desktop. And once you have moved it to your desktop, you click the plus. You can then select the image, and when you pick it, you just click OK. And immediately that image that's on your desktop or video that's on your desktop goes to the choose virtual background screen. And then just click on that and you're done. So you can use a stock image, or alternately you can download an image or a video. And I think really the only snag might be not having a photo or a video on your own desktop. But if you can get a photo or video to your own desktop, it's that easy to upload it as a background.
Oh, you can actually navigate to anywhere and pick a photo just as you would in Finder, which is what you saw me do there.
Okay, and I had not tried that. The example that I used when I clicked, it was my desktop, so that's what I did. I just moved a photo to my desktop.
Yep, any works, but you're effectively in Finder on a Mac or a Windows Explorer on a Windows machine. For the various bits and pieces, I can't tell you. This is just to hack Bill off.
One issue, I have an issue is my Mac is too old, and it's not going to allow me to do this. I just went through the steps, and it says that my processor is not up to it.
Yeah, I can make a comment on that. I had, for a while, I had an older version of Windows on my computer, and the background wouldn't work without a green screen. So what I ended up doing was taking a bunch of my granddaughter's green construction paper and taping it to a gate that I had, one of those gates that goes across the door, and setting it up behind me, and then it worked fine.
Huh.
So if you've got an older version of either Windows or Mac software, you may have problems with the background, and if you do, that's why. And
So-
the only real way to solve it is to, put something large and green behind you.
Yeah, at the bottom of the window, on settings, it has a box for I have a green screen.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the issue usually in older machines is not that the software is the issue, it's the graphics processing power of the machine. So you're probably, there are some restrictions. I would equally make the point that whilst you can put a video up there, you're going to have similar issues with processing power and particularly network bandwidth. So, you might want to think about whether you really want to put a video up.
Yeah, and for videos, the background can get really distracting.
I was just about to make that point. Good job, Mike. All right, any questions for Mike?
Well, isn't there for people who might not want to see their names on there, I think you can go to the profile and change it. Like you see where mine is right now, I changed it to Cape Crusader. So if anybody has any kind of concerns about, their name being on there and being recorded, you can change that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's on that same settings page where the cogwheel is, where you choose virtual background. It's just another item in that list. So
cool. We were all trying to restrain the laughter because we're taping, Bill. He's not biting. Okay.
I was distracted.
Yeah, that's okay. Anything else for Mike?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. If it helped, I'm glad to have.
And I'll stop teasing Bill with my car picture now. So those of you, here's a handy tip. For those of you who are on Macs, Command and the, let me get into Zoom, Command and Command comma will bring up all your settings. And that usually works in every program. There are a couple that don't, but I'll go and change my virtual background back to something more appropriate for my t-shirt. Okay, cool. Good job. Thanks for that. Let me get, now, do you guys see that or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately
Yes.
too.
Good. Let me just try, actually, yeah, let me just go back to here. You're seeing things? Is it changing?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sometimes I get this right and sometimes I don't, and I'm never really sure what I've done that's different. So let's press on. Okay. Anybody owning up? Come on, Bill.
I know, I got to unmute. Yeah, I'm a little rusty here. Yeah, this was just last minute photographs that I tried to get in before Monday. And this was down in Camden Park. And what I just did is I tried to find a somewhat serene kind of vision that showed what fall is. So I took advantage of the dark of the bench there and seeing that some of the grass is starting to go dormant, and then also the coloring of the trees. So I just tried to get a number of kind of images within an image.
Cool.
Goody.
It's very tranquil.
Mhm.
Yeah, I almost fell asleep while I was taking it.
And yeah, the bench adds a little perspective to it, which is nice too.
And that's what I put the focus point on to make sure
Yeah.
that you could see all of the the age of it come through. And then I let everything else kind of, go its own way.
Right. Cool.
That looks nice. Great.
It's nice and it's sharp. If you were going to play with it, I would ask you to get rid of this red point here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It works well. I like the fact that I don't know whether it happened to be there or you darkened the bottom, which keeps me in the image. Works pretty well.
Well, I'll tell you that I'm not smart enough to do that. So that was just, but this is a very heavily cropped image as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You saw
Where was it
actually the
taken?
whole tree. I just brought it down quite a bit.
Where was it taken?
This is Camden Park here in Farrington,
Okay,
right by
thanks.
the lower pond.
Good. Okay, I'm going to press on because we have a surprise. We have a lot of images now. We didn't have yesterday. Bill, I think you did 2 versions.
Yeah, just simply just change it to a black and white, just to different feel out of it, because you think of fall and you think of colors, but when you think of fall, you're thinking more of maybe the weather, the cooler temperatures, and I just decided to give it a shot by just changing it to black and white, and that little red thing there isn't red anymore, so
That's right.
much better picture now.
So to me, I actually preferred this rendition, as long as you take the title out, and we've been having a good debate online somewhere about naming pictures, and so the conclusion that certainly my view was, the title leads the viewer in the direction that the image maker wants to, just as much as we do with emphasizing light and sharpness and so on and so forth. So if you take out the title from this, I actually think this is a stronger image in black and white than I think it is in color.
Yep.
And I like it in black and.
What's the title?
Well, the challenge was fall too, but fall.
Yeah.
And Bill, I like it in black and white too. And without taking a lot of time to do an A/B comparison, it seems to me that a lot of the shadow detail, when it's converted to black and white, disappears.
Yep.
And if I was to use this image in black and white, I would do some shadow recovery, especially in the back of the bench and the tree trunk on the right hand 1/3. But and it may be that maybe my monitor, it may be I'd have to see the other one, but I think there's detail in both those places in the color that's gone in the black and white. This looks more high contrast.
Yeah, this is basically straight out of camera, and the only thing I've really done is cropped it. So I really didn't go into pulling out any shadows or doing anything else. It was just a quick get it over with and get it to gram.
Yeah, it's good.
Thanks, Bill.
Remember, folks on the steering committee, we said we were going to try to talk about composition in each critique.
Thank you, Helen, for keeping us honest.
Well, and composition is to be the next tips and tricks, and no pun intended, but really focusing on composition the time after, but it's always an element. And this is a good one because there are 2-3 things on the 3rd. You want to follow that guideline. The tree on the right, the bench on the left, the horizon is, or the horizontals are split in a couple of different places.
Yep.
If I can offer a statement or comment on the bench item as far as composition was concerned, what I really like about this image is it really draws me into the picture. It makes me want to, A, have a seat, and that seat is for me. I envision myself in this picture. And B, it draws me to that through the little hole in the forest, which provides depth within the photo. And it's also a very well done framing. It was pointed out with the dark band on the bottom as a framing element, but the tree with the almost gated covering provides another element of framing. So very well done with, in my opinion, this whole from concept to execution.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, I'm going to move on because we have lots of images. Who's laying claim to this one?
Nobody?
Nobody here?
Really? Oh.
Hasn't popped up yet.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it.
Oh. Are folks seeing the image?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. And nobody's laying claim, huh?
That's mine.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. It has some tech glitch. I had to reboot my computer. So I was gone
Okay.
for a few. Missed it.
Cool. What do we think?
Well, I
I think
think
it's another
that,
photograph
I think that
I'm sorry, can I think it's another
Yeah,
photograph
go ahead,
that draws
Leslie.
you into the picture.
Yep.
And that's Briar Chapel, is it, Ace?
It's right between. It's taken from the end of Creek's Edge at Pope's Landing. The bridge goes across Pokeberry Creek, and Briar Chapel is on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, it's
The neat thing
beautiful.
it looked better on my screens in terms of saturation. It's kind of desaturated in this view, at least on the computer I'm looking at it at the moment. So
I
Yeah.
like it though. It has a very, very mellow, mystical feel almost. I mean, it looks, on my screen, it looks pretty darn good, actually.
Yeah, I really like the lines and angles that all of the trees create.
And they're framing, it's like with those trees, like you pointed out, Jim, I'm being pulled into that path. That is a path off to on the right of the center.
you got it.
Yeah, my eye is just drawn right into that path.
Oh, good, good.
One question that, with the trees and everything, there's a lot of framing in here. Is the walkway going downhill or is it straight?
It's going actually slightly uphill at the end of the bridge on the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting that keeps me looking at that walkway, is it,
Yeah.
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 And I think it's all the elements around it that just kind of make you stay there. Yeah. Which,
I also like the fact that, especially now the colors are really like this outside now, and the theme was fall, and it really does capture the fall.
Oh, great. I took it Friday.
is that a turtle?
No.
It looks like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like it to me too. I zoomed in on it, and I think it's hard to tell whether it's a knot or a turtle.
It's a knot.
So I love the colors in this image. I just checked the calibration on my monitor this morning. So this should be pretty accurate here, and it looks good on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I don't know whether you're an advocate of post-processing or not, Ace, but
A little bit, but not
I
much.
keep twisting people's arms to do more of that. And I think this is a great image. I think it would be a spectacular image. I don't know whether you sharpened this or not. I think it would benefit from post-processing sharpening. And a couple of really nitpicky items from me. I'd love to see a little bit more of a vignette that holds me in, because it does draw me in, but then it's very light here, down on this part, that makes my eye go from here to here. And then the biggest question mark in my mind would be, what happens if you to darken down a little this top right-hand corner, because it's very bright.
Yeah.
But those are my only comments. Is you could actually you do a little bit of work that would really make sure that my eye stays in the image where you want it, and I would like to see it just a touch of sharpening. And that might be just that we've got a JPEG here and it's a little bit.
Yeah, it went from my raw Canon to send it to my phone to send it to the email.
Right. It might have got crunched along the way.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah.
So, yep. I'm thinking, I'm pondering in the background on whether we should issue some guidance on how best to process images in terms of sizing and so on. That helps.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but we'll look at a couple that I did later, and so I reduced mine to about 1500 pixels on the long side, usually. So good job, great first image, Ace.
Thank you. Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah. Actually, that's mine from probably our end of season kayak at Jordan Lake. And for the first time, I took one of my old cameras, you know, that had better resolution and stuff out on the water. So I was thrilled that I could even get, you know, something a little bit sharper than just my iPhone. The other thing, this is sort of a pre-picture. I was going back and forth with Bill about Photoshop Elements and how it's on sale and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, oh, well, I don't want to do that. But I ended up with a free trial. And the next thing I knew, Amazon had a sale for $69 on their 2021 software. So I got it. And I didn't have time to get it done enough to come in, but I was able to lighten the face using the Photoshop Elements.
Right.
Yeah.
And was really impressed. Now I'm kind of hooked on that. I mean, it this whole picture really popped once I got the skin tone.
Right.
And Betty,
Hmm?
what you might want to try sometimes too, under the enhancements, there's one called haze reduction.
Yeah.
It does such a great job at just taking the whole picture and just changing the look. You can always undo it if you don't want it. You can change the sensitivity, but there's just something I almost always use that on most photographs that I take.
Oh, that's great. Thanks.
It gives a deepness and a contrast and a sharpness about it in one step.
And Betty, you absolutely nailed depth of field.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And got the water
the background and the foreground are enough in focus that you know what's happening, but the part that needs to be sharply focused is. And
The
that's
water coming off.
The water coming off the oar is a lot of
And
action.
even if
in
you
that
go
picture.
back to composition, you're talking about the thirds. You know, the short up there would be on just about that top line. You see the weight coming across, which is below center. And he's a little to the left.
Yeah, it's really coming home to me. You know, usually I take birds and I have a lot more control over the settings and everything. Trying to do these things with people in them and, you know, out in the field, I sort of end up having to get whatever I can get. And then I have to really get better at the post-processing to clean up all the other things, right? So.
Well, and Betty, one thing I'll say about that is that you're not shooting film. You don't have to get it processed and look at the frames on a 36 roll. You can shoot 50 shots. Just keep clicking away. And it may be that the first one's not any good and the last one's not any good, but somewhere between those 100 photos, there's a couple that'll work.
So Betty, did you set this intentionally, or was this on automatic?
It was an autofocus, but it was a manual. Otherwise, actually, I was just kind of taking pictures of the leaves along the side of Jordan Lake and stuff. And then this is my husband, Joe, and he was coming after me to get, you know, get me get going, let's stop with the camera and get going. And I had about 2 seconds to, you know, just focus on him and
so it happened to be what you were already in while you were shooting the leaves.
Whatever I was in.
Okay.
And it was, Michael, one of like 500 things that I was just randomly shooting, because half the time I was trying to balance my paddle at the same time I had the camera, and I didn't want to get the camera wet.
Oh my God.
It was a whole new experience. But anyway, I like the picture. So,
Yeah,
And I
I
mean,
like the picture too. One thing that it draws my eye is his elbow. Would it help a little bit to darken that a tad?
yes,
Good.
Right on my screen, that almost looks, when I push it way, my laptop way out, that's the only thing I can see is that arm and elbow.
actually, that's what the skin tone on with photos, Apple Photos, which is what I usually use for things, didn't, help with that. But then when I moved to the Photoshop elements with the picture and just corrected for the skin tone, all of that whiteness, that brightness on the elbow went away, and his face actually came out lighter. I'm not sure yet still how that works, but it seemed to work for this picture.
So compositionally, I think there are a few things here to think about. I think it's a fabulous shot. I love the action down here with the paddle. And then folks are running towards my observations too, which are really all about the lightness. And as an image maker, the decision for me would be, so what's the subject here? And you've got a couple of fighting things. You've got a red canoe, which is going to grab us instantly, which is brighter. Let me just put this in develop. Can I do that? And we'll look. And if we look at this, I don't know whether you guys can read up in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
If you may not be able to see that, but I'll read it out to you. So the lightness settings, and I've got LAB mode set in the histogram. So this is at 96.1, 95. Boat's better, elbow, and here, this is all in the 62s. And then we go down to 23.
Excuse me, Graham, what is LAB?
It's the mechanism that we talked about a couple of weeks ago of a color space. Were you on that one? Or maybe
I wasn't, sorry.
So think of it as how light that part of the image is.
Right, but what does the L and the A and the B stand for?
L stands for lightness.
Uh-huh.
A and B are these colors down here. It's a progression.
Okay.
If you look up LAB color wheel, this is B, the yellow-blue axis, and this is A, the magenta-green axis.
Thanks.
And so we're working in those three. But the reason that I do that is I've talked a lot about how bright the parts of the image are, and our eyes are going to go to the lightest, the sharpest, the highest contrast. And here, as the image maker, I think there is some decision making to be done about where you want my eye to go and stay. And the comment about the elbow, and where my eye went was red, and then to the orange in the chest, and then to the elbow here. So now you're hooked, Betty, on elements. You can go and tackle those things, and it's down, in my view, it's down to you as the image maker to balance those things and force my eye where you want me to go.
Now, Betty, if I could offer a comment. Betty, I'm so excited to see this, that you had the courage to bring your camera out onto the water. The transition zone between the land and the water, you're very careful with the camera, but once you're out on the water, you did describe some of your challenges. One of the things I'm going to strongly encourage you to look for is the surface of the water. You've captured it somewhat here in the reflection. Keep your eye out not only for the paddler on the water, but what the water is doing, because you can find yourself in calm water, which will give you a reflection. And I've had to really train myself to look for that reflection now, and I'm always looking for it. So please continue with this. I love the fact that your husband's using that Greenland paddle. I'd like to get out there someday with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
actually, the picture right now on my virtual background, which I took yesterday morning at Briar Chapel, and which Ace will recognize because I didn't know, but we run into each other all the time at Briar Chapel, but have never been able to talk because of the pandemic. But he takes pictures too of these Canadian geese that are sitting, and the reflection of the Canadian geese is all in the water. I don't know if you can see it. But there, it was a beautiful chance at Briar Chapel right now on the pond, if one wants to get reflections in a controlled, in a more controlled setting.
Also a lot of mallards too.
Well, congratulations and welcome to the world of post-processing.
Right.
And Betty, I started to say a minute ago that I don't think I've ever used anything but Photoshop Elements. There are a lot more sophisticated things, but it sure gets me where I want to go. Whether others like it or not, I don't know. But if you have questions, call me or email me.
Great, thank you. I'll take you up on that.
Cool. Okay, next image.
Mine, Gary.
Okay, Gary.
Just some weeds next door, or what I think of weeds anyway. There may be a plant that I just don't realize what it is. The hardest part here for me was the over brightness of all the white.
Yep.
And I had it in a program that didn't allow me to work with it. I didn't have it in Photoshop.
Well, the problem is there is no data there. If you look up, I don't know whether you folks can see right at the histogram here. See the spike on the right-hand side?
The brightness.
And when you look at this, this is completely blown out. This is at 100. So I went and looked at this before we got started, and you're right. So they you know, my big observation on here is it's nicely seen, it's nicely taken, but it's completely, your whites are completely gone, so all the detail is gone.
Right.
So, I mean, the only answer to that is controlling that at the time. And make sure if you're using the histogram on your camera, and if you're not, you should be, that you don't have this spike on the right-hand side. That's where all the problem is, this big spike right up the right-hand edge of the histogram.
I think that was taken with my cell phone. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, there are some programs that will give you a histogram on your cell phone. But I find I've tried a lot. Actually, I've been putting up images recently taken with my cell phone. I've been fighting against using a cell phone for years, but I am trying. It's one of the things I want to try and master.
And Gary, on the other side of this, past the light, the depth of field is right, because you haven't garbaged up the background with a bunch of detail. And if you look at the unopened dandelions, there's a lot of sharpness in those areas. And some of the finer threads of that, I guess it's dandelion, but you can see almost cobwebs in there. The sharpness is there where it needs to be. You can just figure out how to get the brightness down.
Yep.
What about HDR?
Well, that's you know, I'm a proselytizer for HDR. That would have gotten you there in a New York second if you could have, unless there was a whole lot of movement. HDR programs will stop some movement from the wind over a really quick shutter release, but not great amounts. But this looks calm enough that if you'd taken 3 exposures, a third, a half, a whole stop away from one another, the whole thing would have been, this probably would have been your overexposed, and then there would have been one that was closer to the right exposure, and a third one that would have been underexposed, and it would have brought out all that detail, I think, pretty easily.
And you probably need, you know, bracketing. I don't think you need HDR for this, although it would have, you know, bracketing would have got you to the same place. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and the HDR programs will help you stack them. It's and I know you could do it individually and then stack them, but HDR, or at least Photomatics, does that for you.
Right. I was making a different point, really, Mike, that probably it was just getting the exposure right that was the key.
Oh, yeah. Then you would have had a selection. Yeah, you would have had a
I think
selection.
one of them would have been okay. But nicely seen, Gary. Keep at it.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been where you are with this one. and some stuff doesn't work, and it doesn't get better, you know, even when you've been at it a long time. I can tell you, sometimes it just doesn't work. You shake your head, or I do anyway. Good job. Okay, who's this one?
It's Bob Seidel.
Hello, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob.
We were at North Carolina Botanical Gardens a little bit over 2 weeks ago, and I took a bunch of pictures, and I know I really like to take real current pictures, but I kind of like this one too, and so I put it in. And it's just kind of peaceful, and
yep,
that was it. And the only thing I did to it was crop it.
Mm-hmm.
There were signs on the bridge, and I got rid of them.
Right. Good idea.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
liked
composition-wise, this is a perfect example of a picture that takes you into the frame.
Right.
Yep.
That path just pulls you right in up to the center there and up to the top.
And another option maybe as you're taking it might have maybe changed perspective a little bit by bending down a little bit.
Yeah.
And getting yourself maybe, you could see it when you make that turn.
Yeah, that's true. Could have done that.
You have to be sure you can get up again though, Bob.
If you can still bend down.
I could have taken several pictures crawling along the bridge doing it.
But I think, joking aside, I think Bill makes an excellent point, and it's one that we've talked about here before, which is, you know, when you think you've got your image, keep pushing. Try different
Right.
views, different aspect ratios. I mean, just keep pushing. And often the one you wanted was the one that you worked with. But sometimes you go, okay, yep, I see this one could be an improvement. So it's really a plea, you know, have fun, work whatever scene you're taking, and do more than one. But good job, Bob.
Thank you.
This is good. Headed in the right direction.
I can't help but share an old meme that I think about every time I drop something. And the meme is that it used to be when I drop something, I'd bend down to pick it over. Now when I drop something, I have to ask myself, do I really need that anymore?
True.
Good job. All right. I'll lay claim to this one. This is an iPhone photo.
Nice.
And I'm going to keep quiet.
Nice color.
Yep.
Well, and you know, and it may be my monitor again. I need to recalibrate it. It keeps telling me that I haven't done it for a while, but this one looks overexposed to me, or maybe undersaturated. And the histogram pushes it to the left, but I mean, the crop, the compositional elements, that's just spot on. But it just, and I don't know, the saturation just is not quite high enough, I don't think.
Yeah, does it seem maybe flat?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, interesting.
And
I see so many that I think are overcooked that, you know, I've been backing off from pushing saturation really hard. And in fact, I suspect the saturation is not pushed at all. I'd need to go and check. But, yeah.
Hey, Graham, on a previous photograph, you put it up on our screen in the develop mode of your program here, and it made a tremendous difference. And I wonder if you could put this one there.
Yeah.
I see a difference. It looks sharper. It looks clearer.
Develop mode does do some things a little differently than in viewing. I can't remember exactly what it is, but in Lightroom that certainly is true. And this is, of course, the JPEG, so none of the develop information there. I actually do have this I did it on this machine. So,
Oh, big difference.
There it
Oh,
goes.
well.
Right. Came back.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did this. We enjoy our the activity in our yard in the fall, where we have multiple bucks chasing multiple does through the yard, and this is right on the fence line between our house and the neighbors. That's the neighbor's house in the backyard, their driveway, and this is probably 20 feet from the house, and he's watching for the other buck that was in the area chasing the same herd of deer. So that's what he's looking at.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, that's great.
I love the sharpness in this. That's what really gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can handhold at 400 mil at 50th of a second. You must be exercising a lot, practicing. That's incredible.
So the challenge is clearly what I was going for was a shallow depth of field, because I was really wanting that animal's eye, and I knew once I hit that eye that I was going to be able to see some of the whiskers. I was only going to be able to see the whiskers after the picture came up, because I can't see them when I'm really in real life. My eyes aren't that good, but I can in the picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I want you to do, Jim, is get your neighbor to knock down this fence.
And Jim, it's a picky point, but you know, if I take pictures of what I want, it's architecture, and one of the things about that is vertical and horizontal lines. And if I was cropping this photograph, I would straighten it so that the vertical is really plumb, and that I think would also bring the horizontal more plumb.
Yeah. And
you can't totally crop out what that post and rail. I mean, it helps frame, but I would minimize it some. But rotating it a little bit would get you some minimalization, I think, too. But I don't think there needs to be as much fence there. I don't think there needs to be as much fence there to recognize it as a fence.
Yep, good point.
On the other hand, I really like the fence there and the amount of space it has in the picture, because to me the story is the deer coming up to the fence. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, and it's another point of view. Everything it's art. I mean, it's art. It's subjective. So.
Hey, Jim, what kind of lens did you use for this?
So I'm using Canon equipment. This one happened to be the 400 millimeter lens, and we can see up at the top in the histogram that I've pushed it all the way to 400 millimeters.
Wow. Okay. Thanks.
And you held that at 1/5. And you handheld that at 1/50th?
I was trying to keep my ISO as low as I could go. You could see the ISO is up to 1600. This camera starts to get noisy above 1600, and I don't like the results. So, yeah, that's the challenge. This was first thing in the morning, like, I don't know, does the camera, yeah, 7:15 it shows. It was early.
Good job.
Dark.
Well done.
I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
Okay, there he goes.
well, I don't know how large this is.
Yeah,
Not very. There you go.
right. But then when you do blow it up, you lose a lot of the detail in it.
Right. Well, yeah. So
I think I sent the wrong one. That's mine. I think I sent one that had gone to my sister. She played with it, and then she sent it back. And I think I've sent you the wrong one.
Okay.
But I'm having trouble with anything I take, making it sharp, and I'm pretty sure it's my eyes. So we can just ignore this one, but it could have been a pretty shot.
Yep, nicely seen. But yeah, the sharpness obviously is an issue. Okay.
There we go.
And that's me again. So I tried to show fall without showing fall. One of the things that
Well,
sometimes I struggle with is when I shoot for keepers, or I shoot for I sometimes lose the smaller background story images. So I have to look around for what is supporting my story. And this is this concept for me has been most helpful whenever putting together a slideshow, because sometimes if I have too many just I don't know, wall hanger type pictures, they don't support the story. And this one I was hoping to support the story. What I also had a condition here that I had a little patch of bright sunlight, and I knew because of the white leaf blower, if I was to expose for the white leaf blower, the shadows in the background would go dark. And this happened to be, I actually had to move around a bit to make sure I found the darkest part. But I watched my background, because further to the right of this image, you can start to see some of the neighbors' open space. And I really did not do that much darkening post-processing. I relied on the exposing for the white, knowing that the background would go dark. You can see I did, in order to do that, I got my ISO as low as I could get, 100. But I cranked up the shutter speed in order to get the darkers to go even dark.
Cool. It worked. Good shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical aspect of it that I sort of enjoy doing.
Good job. Nicely seen. There we go. Whoops. Did I do that right? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's mine again.
Okay, I'm losing my, there we go. Okay, was that Bob?
No, it's Gary.
Gary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taken down in the Creekwood section of Farrington and the trail.
Is this, did you do any post-processing on this?
Tried to sharpen a little bit and tried to increase the color a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously some cropping. I would have loved to have gotten back here after a first frost and gotten it in the morning with the frost on top, but we haven't had too much of that lately.
Right. So the only, I think this is nicely done, Gary. I as the image maker, where do you, my question would be, where do you want me to look? What is it? Everything? Is there something in there that specifically you want to lead me towards first and then lead me through. It's a nicely exposed image. It's well done. I think the question would be for me is, what do you want me as the viewer to do with it?
Yeah.
But you're on a good track here. You're on a very good track. I mean, these are coming across. Is this an iPhone?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's producing good results.
Yeah.
Very clear.
I would have liked to have had the whole thing off to the left more, but then I would lose more of the sense of depth of the plants that are at the lower middle.
Right. Yeah. But no, good job. Nicely seen. I would, you know, just bear in mind, thinking about what you want the viewer and so on to do as a result.
And sometimes too, getting closer.
What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, true.
Is will tell a different story as well.
Right.
Another aspect to consider is different time of day where the sun's highlighting something more specific in the image too, like the foreground.
Why did it get bigger for a second? I
I
can't.
don't know what I clicked on it. And
You zoomed in on it, right?
I
I'd
think,
like to
Yeah, there
see
you
it.
go.
There we go.
I think this is the size of the image.
Mhm.
I think. But yeah.
Having all the white around it really changes my perception of what the photograph is, because when it was bigger, it was much more vibrant because the white background wasn't dulling it down so much.
There you go. That's why we talked about. Were you on that call, Leslie?
No.
Oh, you missed the one last time. We talked a lot about that.
Mm.
We talked a lot about that. Okay. All right. Who's laying claim to this one?
This one is also small.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you blow it up. Does it really lose on?
Yep.
No?
Yeah. I
Nope,
love the
we don't.
colors. The red of the leaves in there.
Nobody laying claim to this one? All right, I'm going to move on. We have a lot to get through.
Okay.
Oh, you did put it in.
Was I not supposed to?
No, only if you didn't have enough pictures.
Oh, okay. Well,
But this is something that I just mentioned about getting closer to something. Because this is a minute crop of an entire tree, which you'll see next. And, you know, the whole idea of, you know, and I've walked around with Larry and Bob through the village and always tell them, try to get closer to your subject. Get the subject that you want people to look at. You know, get it in that frame. So this one here is, like I said, a crop of a very large, basically the whole tree. But as I was looking through it, I saw this one leaf in the center that kind of goes like a left-handed C.
Mm-hmm.
And it just caught my attention. I don't know why. Also, what I have in here is complementary colors. Yeah, I was, you know, just, it was just so much of a better photograph by being closer. Because Graham, if you want to go to the next one, you'll be able to see what this, oops,
all right.
That's not it.
oh, they don't necessarily appear in order, Bill, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one were you on? This one?
One on the right next to the pumpkins.
To the right of the pumpkins? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This was the picture that I took.
Oh, okay. And then you zeroed in on that?
Right.
Closer?
Because what I did is I looked at this and I'm just saying, okay, where am I supposed to look?
Right.
It's just way too much. Yeah. So by going and cropping in really, really tight, and I found that one little leaf that kind of caught my attention, it just become a totally different photograph.
And I think it becomes a much more interesting abstract in the smaller version, Bill.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's why I always encourage people to, get in tight. I'm lucky enough, this was with a Nikon 800E, which is like 36 megapixel. So I was able to take that very little piece out of it and make an image out of it.
Cool. Good job. I like that. Good illustration.
I kind of send it to you just, I guess, for that composition feeling that I have is, to get close.
Thank you. I think you make a good point. Thanks, Bill. Who's laying claim to this one?
That's mine, AJ. I actually took that one very close to where the Caped Crusader took his first photo. Just the same pond.
Ah, and this is in
Farrington.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
I love the reflection in it. The upper picture and lower picture. You got the.
Nice, yeah, I got pretty lucky on that one. The light was right.
Water wasn't moving too much, I suppose. So
no, not at all. The only thing I did in post was some shadows and highlights and some brightness and contrast. I did not push the saturation at all.
Really? Okay. Because you got some nice red out of the leaves in there and the yellows.
Really, well, when I shoot, I usually shoot a couple stop above, a stop below. I usually shoot 3 photos every time I shoot. And I think this was probably the darker of the 3. And then when I added some brightness and contrast, the colors really popped.
When you shoot the middle, above, and below, is that like on your camera, you bracket it and it takes the 3 shots right away?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I know I've done that, and then I blended them in Photoshop to create almost an HDR, and it comes out really good. It's a great tool.
Yeah, the only problem is I'm shooting it handheld, so sometimes that doesn't work well unless you're on a tripod.
So my only observation, AJ, was that the blue at the bottom I find too distracting. The rest of the image is perfect. I keep being dragged down into this area. So again, personal taste. But for me, that I would have wanted to back that blue off if it were my image. But the rest is perfect. I really love the colors, and it works really, really well.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
All right. This one is mine. Nothing screams fall more than pumpkins and gourds to me. And there's a little roadside stand out on Route 751 that I went over to, and they have a really nice display there, but it's huge. And I tried shooting the whole thing, but then I said, you know what? Let me just focus on the pumpkins and down at the bottom. And that's the one I took them all. Various shots all around. And this is the one that I like the best. I just, I like the colors in it. So this is the one I went with, and which I did yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Cool.
Yeah. But what I did do was, realizing the white was going to be blown out, I closed the lens down 1 full stop.
Yay.
And it seemed to work.
Good. Yep. There's nothing blown there. You've got some nice tonality in it. It's really nice.
I like that shot.
Yeah, very nice.
Thanks.
Very good. That's Bill's tree one. Okay. So
I like the contrast of the colors, the yellow, green, and the reds on the 2 sides. I think that's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Very
nice
pretty.
color in there.
Beautiful.
This is another iPhone photo. So.
Wow, it's clear.
Yep.
Whose photograph is this?
It's me.
Beautiful.
So this one I did quite a bit of post-processing on too, to make sure that the issue was that, you know, these trunks would take you straight out, and the ground down here too. So the problem was I was getting locked onto one, and then somewhere hidden behind, for me, hidden behind you lot, there was a really bright tree there that I pulled back a little, and this guy on the right too. So the trees on the right, I just pulled them back a little so that my eye stayed in the picture. But yeah, this was an iPhone photo. Now I'm not shooting using the regular, whatever the photo camera app is. I use an additional app that you can at least control some aspects of.
What app is that?
It's called 645.
Okay.
And it shoots in TIFF too. So if you don't have an iPhone 12, one of my niggles has always been that you could only get JPEG images out. So 645 will shoot in TIFF, and that's what I did here. So, all right.
Did you bring those trees down with a vignette or with a burn?
No, because I don't want a vignette particularly. What I wanted to do was dodge and burn, and so in Lightroom you've got the brush, and I put a pin on there and brush it down, either by reducing highlights or, if necessary, exposure. But often just taking the highlights out of it serves the purpose that we want.
Just a little something. The leaves in the middle of the middle tree here are distracting to me.
The green and yellow?
No, on the bottom of the trunk. Do you see the middle tree?
This one?
And there's some,
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
That looks very washed out compared to the way it looked on my iPhone. I don't know why, but the oranges were much brighter, and the greens were much more vibrant. So it's really lost the appeal.
Interesting.
I don't like it so much now.
Well, it may be this calibration thing that we talk about, and it's really hard, you know, when you're on an iPhone to do anything other than get what you get.
Right, but it's just
So I get it.
I mean, on my computer, when I bring this picture up, the colors just really pop.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what I liked about the picture, but it clearly didn't translate.
Right.
So you can just go on because it's
okay. Well, nicely seen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is.
That's mine. That is a oak leaf on the outside of a skylight, and I was on the inside.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
And I was hurrying because there were rivulets beginning to develop.
Yeah.
And the interesting part when I took it was that halo around the leaf. You could.
That's what jumps out at me, is that, it looks like, the glass is clear, so it looks like a halo.
Yeah, and I could see perfectly the trees, but to get any detail on the leaf, I lost the trees. So,
well, in my mind, that was probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I like this. It's a good abstract image. I think this works really well. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. No. I thought we were at the end. Is that the end? Whoops, hang on. Whoops, sorry. Oh, we got more than I thought. Okay, we got 3 more.
Can I make a quick comment?
Whose is this one?
Yeah, the last, the oak leaf that you had, the bottom of that haloing kind of looks like an acorn shape to it as well, which kind of really.
Oh, I hadn't even noticed that.
Okay, thanks, Edison. Okay, who's this?
That's mine. I wanted you to look through the sculpture to see the different colors of those trees behind it. So there are 3, and I just wanted you to just look that way. The sculpture was very interesting, but I want you to view through the sculpture.
It's a great
that was my
shot.
thought.
It's a great shot. I really like it. Where was this? Where is this?
That's at the art museum. Along the paths, they have some really interesting sculptures.
Yeah.
And it was yesterday. It was such a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no one in the park. So, and then I tried to get some highlight on the sculpture itself. So
I think it works. It works really well.
Very
nice.
That's my fall.
My beg to you would have been a little more space at the top. I know you just talked through that the foreground isn't really the purpose, but it's very tight at the top. But fantastic, nice.
Graham, is there more to the bottom of this photograph? Because
I don't
see it with the bottom cut off.
I don't believe so.
No, I cut it off because I don't know how many of it I took, but the bottom wasn't very attractive. So I just said, well, you'll get the idea that it's curved, and the bottom is not curved. So I just thought, well, you'll get the idea. That's all.
Yep.
I like the exposures you've gotten. Quite a lot. It looks like a bit of range between the sky and the lighting on the trees and the sculpture. And I'm wondering if you could make it otherworldly in a way of having a significantly darker on each side of the ring and having it brighter in the center as you have, to make it more of a portal, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my question to you, Larry, would be about the bright spots on the edges. This bit here, this bit here. I found those. I would have pushed you for just chopping those off a little, but then you're fighting with the color of the trees. But those are the compromises we make, huh? But
I think a vignette would have been really good.
Yep, that might work. But
Make it vertical. Make it vertical.
Yep.
Maybe.
I'm wondering what it would look like if you, oops, could you go back? If it was cropped a little bit on the left. It seems a little off balance to me, and that if I cover up some of the left, it not so that the circle is in the middle, but just enough so that I'm not distracted by all that blue.
Right.
Good point.
But I love it.
Nicely done.
Nice picture.
Okay.
Oh, that was mine. I just threw that in.
Just threw that in.
It looks like fall. It didn't mean anything. It was just the color. That's all.
Well, I think it's a photo with impact, Larry. I think it's okay. I would do a little bit of border patrol on it, but I think there's an image in there. I think there's a good image in there. So
it deserves to be photographed. It's a beautiful thing, and it deserves to be photographed.
Right. Definitely true. Okay, and I think this is the last one.
I don't understand why it's mine. I don't understand why it's so small. It makes no sense.
Well, so it must be that. Are you resizing images, Tom?
No, I don't understand sizing at all. I don't understand. Can you make it any bigger? Because it doesn't make any sense then.
That's better.
Okay. Yeah, I emailed it in, so I don't know why it should be that small, but yeah, okay, now it's bigger.
I like that.
It's a great photograph.
Yeah.
Just the colors, the textures. I mean, it's
I
just.
like the leaf images within the rock. I think that looks really interesting.
Yeah, that's why I took the photograph.
What did you use to take it, Tom?
Sorry?
What did you use to take the photograph?
I have a Sony RX100 point and shoot, but pretty sophisticated point and shoot.
Okay.
A Sony RX100.
And
it's affinity post-processing. And if I could just say a couple of things, but I really love to zoom in on leaves until they become not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this painterly quality to them, and I advise people to try that in post. They get this, I don't know how to describe it other than to say that it looks like paintings to me.
Mm.
And so I had a problem with the leaves had that quality to them, but I didn't think that the rock did. So I went into the rocks and I really, really over sharpened them until it became a little less, I don't know, I say realistic. What's a better phrase? A little bit unrealistic, painterly. And so this was the best that I could do.
Cool.
Is
I love the composition. I mean, it's fabulous. I think that whatever the technical challenges are in post-production, but they're beautifully seen. I mean, fabulously seen. Is the original sharp?
Sorry?
Is the original sharp?
Is it sharp?
Uh-huh.
I wonder. I think so. I thought so.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't a tripod.
Well, no. So what I do, we've had a few that have been quite small today. When I export, I either do them full size, or if I'm using a big camera, I make them 1500 on the long side, and that's usually sufficient for what we're doing here.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
That's Susan. I know she's having phone problems.
Yeah. All right. If you've got the original, clearly you have the original, Tom. I would rework this because I think there's a fabulous image in here. And if we can get it right size, I would like to see this in a future session.
Okay.
I mean, I really like where you went with this.
I mean, I'll send in the large. This is a fragment of a larger photograph, so I'll send that too.
Okay, good. I think that's it. I think we've looked at everything. Good job, folks. Boy, what a variety. Fabulous images. Well done. Okay, any final comments, folks?
Excellent. That was a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Some excellent stuff today. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for taking the trouble. And, oh, I see we got some chatties. Hang on. Oh, it's Mike. Mike's vanished. Oh, and Susan says, sorry, her phone's being fixed. She's probably disappearing again. And so it is. All right. Okay, folks, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
What's do we know our next challenge?
Oh, night.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. I'd forgotten again. Night. And with tips and tricks will be composition. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then on November 8th will be the challenges composition.
Composition.
Hey, Bill, before you leave, I just want to check and see how your wife is doing with her surgery.
She's doing quite well. It's 4 weeks now.
Uh-huh.
She's going for PT now, which started about a week late, but no walker. She likes to get out, walk around the village a little bit. So
great.
Pretty good.
I'm so glad.
Good job. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
A short while.
Thank you. Good work.